Okay, so are you trying to get the word out about your church, attract new visitors, and specifically speed up the assimilation process in your church? Well, stay tuned because in this video, we're going to be talking about how to improve the assimilation process in your church coming up. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. My name is Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo. And if we are meeting for the first time, welcome. This channel is dedicated to helping pastors and church leaders be more effective, to be able to get more planner visits, use social media and technology to reach more people for Jesus, and ultimately grow our church. So here's what we're going to be doing is in this video, we want to specifically take an in-depth look at your assimilation process and how we can speed up that assimilation process in your church. So let's dive in. So one of the first things that I recommend doing if you're trying to speed up your assimilation process, make it a little bit smoother, you want to create some systems, is you want to actually create what I call an assimilation map, right? So this is just simply the idea of what are the different steps that you want people to take. You're going to write them out in order, but people aren't going to always follow them in order. Right. So, for example, a sample assimilation map might look something like this. First-time guest to a meet the pastor, to a return guest, into your membership class. Then you want them to join a small group, then maybe join a serve team, and then eventually become a tither. Right? So that's a 7-step process. But here's the deal, right? Some people are going to come the very first time, but then they may not go to step 2 and meet the pastor, but they might show up for a return visit, right? Some people might come the very first time and they might realize that, shoot, I want to go to next steps and go join this church right away, right? So you're going to have an assimilation map, right? And this is kind of like, ideally, this is how it works, right? First time visitor to meet the pastor, then they become a second time visitor, then they go to next steps, then they join a small group, then they join a serve team, and then they become a giver. But it's not always going to work that way. This is an important first step. Now that we know the assimilation map, now we know some of the milestones that are on the journey as they start to assimilate into our processes, now we can kind of reverse engineer the process from there. But we have to know where we're going first, so it's important to create an assimilation map. The average churchgoer in the United States only goes to church 1.2 times, and that number is actually pre-COVID, right? So we've got so many people now who are watching online or might be showing up once every 2 or 3 months. Following up with people is really, really important. So having a follow-up system in order to get people back in the door is one of the most important things that your church can do from an assimilation standpoint, right? So what I like to do is I like using text in church and creating an automated follow-up system. That way I don't have to remember to send out a message to every single person. Not that tough if you have 1 or 2 or 3 visitors, but by the time you get to 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 visitors, there's no way that you can keep track of where everybody is in that follow-up process. So using something like text in church is a great way in order to set an automated system. So every single Monday, you just take the connect cards from all of the visitors the day before, you plug them into text in church, and then it automatically kicks off a 6 or 12-week follow-up system, and you don't have to do anything. That's really, really cool, and it's really, really effective at getting people to come back for a second visit. Now, depending on how your church does it, now I recommend that every single church has some type of meet the pastor, right? Depending on kind of your service flow or kind of how you guys do things, it might be something that you implement on Sunday mornings, or it might be a separate event, right? Maybe it's something over a Zoom call, maybe it's something that's held up at the church, maybe you like to, as the pastor, you like to have people over to your house, right? However you want to do it, it's important to have a meet the pastor. I've seen churches have like a pizza with the pastor every Sunday afterwards where all the visitors can come over, have pizza, and kind of meet the pastor. I've seen churches do some type of, meet the pastor once a month where they have lunch and childcare provided and a little bit more of a large group gathering. And then I've also seen churches do it where it's like one night of the week and it's either over Zoom or it's up at the church, or you're having everybody over to somebody's house, right? You're breaking bread together, having a meal, eating some snacks, and just kind of, laughing and having a chance to get to know each other. But it's important to make sure that during that meet the pastor, at some point, you want to point them to their next step. Right? So that might be coming back again. It might be joining a small group. It might be going through next steps and joining the church, right? But you want to make sure that when you have that meet the pastor, that you're presenting them with a next step. Okay, so before I get to my last couple of points, I'm curious, how many of you guys have actually created an assimilation map, right? Maybe you've done it before you ever watched this video. Maybe you're planning on doing it right now, right? But I want to know, so if you have created an assimilation map, put it down in the comments below. I want to see what it looks like, what the different steps are, and what those milestones are in kind of joining your church and becoming a fully surrendered disciple of Jesus. So put your assimilation maps down in the comments because I want to see them. Okay, so once you've had somebody show up to church the very first time, they've gone through meet the pastor, right? They come back on their return visit. I think the best thing to do from there is to push everyone to some type of a next steps or a growth track class, right? Some type of membership, whatever you guys call it. They've visited at least 2 times. They've had a chance to meet the pastor. So you want to invite everyone to take the next step, which is going to be your membership class. All right, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can build this into your follow-up system, which is a great way. You can send personal text messages, either from you as the pastor using text in church, or from someone, a key staff person or a volunteer that's going to do that, right? Or you can even use personal phone calls, just calling the people that have been coming, some of the new visitors, and inviting them out to next steps. All of these are really, really effective, but the most important thing is that it's personal, right? If it feels like a personal invite from either you as the pastor or someone else in leadership, then it's going to have a lot more weight behind it, and it's going to mean a lot more to your guests, and you're going to see a much better show-up rate at your membership class. Now, at the membership class, a couple of things I like to do. I always like to give people a spiritual gifts test, right? Not only is this helpful for you, but it provides a ton of value for them, right? Just to know what their spiritual gifts are. That might give you an idea of, some ways you can plug them into the church, but also just to know how they're wired, right? Everyone loves to know more about themselves. That's why we love like personality tests and Enneagram and all these different things, right? So spiritual gifts test is a great way to kind of provide value for them and also provide a little bit of direction on maybe where they might want to plug into the church. Another great thing to do is to give them a personality test. I like the DISC test because it's pretty simple, and you can actually get a free version of it if you go to tonyrobbins.com/DISC, right? DISC. This is it's totally free, and again, just a really great thing. So we do this in our growth track. Is we actually give a spiritual gifts test and we do a DISC assessment. So now they're getting to know a little bit more about their personality. You can learn too, right? Depending on what type of personality they have. One of the great kind of places to plug them into the church. And then I specifically like to have at least one next step from the growth track, right? And so for you, that might be joining a small group. It might be joining a serve team, right? Whatever it is, lead them to their next step. Don't have a membership class or growth track where people just come in, they do some stuff, have a great time, and then leave, right? You want to make sure to tell them what their next step is, right? We should always be leading them to the next step in the journey. All right, and finally, after someone goes through membership, we want to activate our members and turn them into the core. Right? So you want to activate your members after membership. So once they have gone through, they've joined the church, right? Sometimes the best way to do that is get them into a small group, and a lot of small groups will all serve in a certain area together, right? Maybe they all serve in the youth or the kids department, or they're all greeters. But whatever it is, this is a great way to kind of activate them. You want to get them plugged in. You want to get them using their spiritual gifts and using their God-given talents and abilities in order to, serve God in the capacity of the local church. Make sure that you're activating those people. And again, my favorite way to do this is with personal follow-up. It can be a personal phone call, personal text message, personal email. But when people know that someone is personally reaching out to them and it's not just a blanket call for volunteerism, it makes them feel much more valued and much more special, and you'll get a much better response rate if you have someone that is reaching out to them personally. All right, so if you guys like this video, if you found it valuable and you'd like to go a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more about how to attract new visitors so that you can get them into your assimilation process, I recommend checking out my other video, How to Grow Your Church Membership, and you can find that video by clicking on the link in the description below.